All right, so this video is going to go over how to measure using the English or customary system. What we're focused on here is inches. Now, if we think back to the metric system for most people is pretty simple, simply because all we have to worry about is centimeters and millimeters, and everything's broken up into tens. So when we look at this over here, here's our metric system, right? We know this is 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters. We know that there are 10 millimeters in each centimeter. So it allows us to get a decimal really nice and easy. If I had a measurement right over here, that's halfway between 1 and 2, I know that's going to be 1.5 centimeters, or it's going to be 15 millimeters. With the English system, where we're working with inches, that's not the case. Everything is a fraction. So the first thing you need to understand is that whenever you're measuring and you're measuring in inches, you're always going to get a fraction. You never get a decimal. All right, so that's the first thing. The second thing to understand is that when you're measuring, your ruler is typically broken up into either eighths of an inch, or in this case down here, sixteenths of an inch. This ruler is also broken up into sixteenths of an inch. It's really important to understand that because otherwise you tend to not get the measurement correct. Your fractions are off. So you always want to recognize what you're working with. If I'm using the side that's eighths of an inch, the lowest fraction that I'm ever going to get is 1/8. If I'm working with a ruler that's in sixteenths, then I can get something that is in sixteenths of an inch. Another way to kind of explain that, if I were to look at this ruler, which is in eighths, what that means is that each inch is broken up into 8 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. If I have a ruler that is in sixteenths of an inch, same concept, it's broken up into 16 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So real important to understand. Again, no decimals, and either working with eighths or sixteenths of an inch. So now the next thing to get is the importance of each of these marks. And that's really what this video is about, is how do we actually read this ruler over here. So as you're looking at this, you'll notice, and this is pretty common on most rulers, some rulers it's not. This one, for example, not all of the marks are different lengths. They've got the quarter and halves all the same length, but most rulers look a little bit more like this. And so what happens is your whole numbers are always your longest mark, right? So if you look at this one, this mark is longer than all the other ones on this inch. It's the same length as this one is over here. So this would be 1, this is 2, this is 3, and so forth. The longest mark represents whole numbers. The next longest mark represents your halves. So this one right here, this is half of 1 inch. This is the other half. So if we broke that up, we got 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. Here's 1.5. Here's 2, 2.5, and so forth. The next longest mark, the one that's just shorter than our halves, is going to be our quarters. So this would be 1/4. This is actually 2/4. This would be 3/4. So you'll notice that this and this are the same length. So those are all quarter-inch marks. The next one down would be eighths, which is over here. So we got 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, and so forth. And then finally, the smallest marks that you're typically going to see on a ruler are going to be sixteenths. So you see this little tiny one here, that's 1/16. This would be 3/16. This would be 5/16. So it's important to know that. Kind of helps you so that way when you're measuring, you know what fractions you should be looking for. All right, so now our next step is to actually take some time and understand what all the fractions are and what all these little marks are actually going to be. I find that the easiest way to do this is actually just to create your own ruler. And so what we're going to do is just create one really big 1-inch ruler. All right, and here's how we're going to start this. We're going to make 2 long marks and spread them up pretty far. And so these 2 marks are going to represent our whole inches. So this is going to be 0, and this is going to be 1 right over here. And this right here, this is going to help you for the rest of the activity. So it's something that you definitely want to pay attention to. So now we have our whole number of 1. The next thing we want to do is put down our half-inch mark. So our half-inch mark is going to be somewhere right in the middle over here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but try your best. And our half-inch mark is going to be pretty long, but not quite as long as our whole inch marks. From there, and I'm going to actually label this as a half an inch. All right, so now we got 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 inch. The next marks we're going to make are the quarters. So we're going to break up our halves in half again. So that's going to be 1/4, and this is going to be 3/4 over here. So now as you look at this, our inch is broken up into 4 parts: 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. All right, and if you're confused about that, if I do the math real quick, and I take 2/4, and I take the number 2 and divide both of those by that, I can simplify this down to 1/2. 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 4 two times. So that's how we get that 1/2, even though I said 2/4 before. So now we got our fourths. We want to break this up again into 1/8 of an inch. So 1/8 of an inch, same thing. Your marks are going to be halfway between the fourths. They're going to be a little bit shorter as well. All right, so this is going to be 1/8. This is 2/8. Now we got 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8 equals 1. All right, and again, if you're looking, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and 4/8. If I do the math, I know that 4/8, if I take both numbers and divide them by 2, kind of put this over here for you so you can see, 2 goes into 2 two times, 2 goes into 8 4 times. There's my 2/4. And if I do that one more time, I get 1/2 of an inch. All right, so now we've got a ruler that is in 1/8 of an inch. The final marks that we're going to do are 16ths. So those are going to be our smallest ones, and those are right in between the 1/8 inch marks. So as I do this now, and we're looking at this, we've got 1/16, 2/16, which is 1/8, 3/16, 4/16, 5/16, 6/16, which equals 3/8, 7/16, 8/16, and you guys know that 8/16 equals 1/2, 9/16, 10/16, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 16ths, and 16/16. So this is a standard 16-inch ruler that we just kind of listed out. And this is going to help you so that you can recognize with these fractions and learn them a little bit faster. Now what I want you guys to do is to do the exact same thing I did here. I want you to create a 1-inch ruler on a blank piece of paper. As you do it, I want you to try to create your lines and your fractions without looking at the video, without referencing it. Try to do it from what you remember. If by chance you get stuck and you have to go back and look at the video again for a reference, by all means go and do that. Once you're all done, you want to take a picture of this and turn it into the assignment. So hope that helps you out.